It's funny because with the surge in use of ChatGPT and Gemini and all the things, you guys are ChatGPT me to death. One of the biggest concerns that I've seen from other credential preparers is us becoming obsolete because of AI. Okay. So, like I said, I'm going to share my take. You all can quote it if you like, charge my head and my heart because I mean what I'm saying here. Uh, but to be quite frank, when asked the question, will AI replace enrolled agents? Will it change the enrolled agent industry as we know it? Will it replace accountants? This is not to poo poo on anybody's parade, but some of you watching this video, streaming the replay, will be put out of a job by AI. I'm not going to give you the cookie cutter answer that's like, oh no, we must all embrace AI. And once you use that and evolve with technology, then you'll be safe. That all sounds fine and dandy, but the reality of it is that not everybody will evolve. Not everybody will realize the value that they are adding and elevate their services. There are people who are in this profession just to make money and they don't take their craft seriously. This is just a money grab for them. Those people will likely be eliminated. And then the people who are too concerned about AI being their competition or the next person being their competition, they will be replaced by AI. And that's just me being truthful with you. Now, on the flip side of that, will it replace the accounting industry and the enrolled agent industry as a whole? Now, I'm looking at those as two separate things because if you're not familiar, I do have a traditional accounting background. I studied accounting for undergrad, that was my major. I worked in a big CPA firm. So I can do all those other functions, right? And there are some people, again, there are students that watch this, whether they're in undergrad or master's, and as they're going through school, they're learning how to use AI to enhance their skill set, but they're yet concerned like, hey, will this keep me from having a job in just a few years? And my answer to that is similar again to what I said earlier. If you only learn how to do what the AI can do, then absolutely, you won't have a job within a few years. The part where you set your side apart from the AI is when you can take what AI does and you're able to translate that, make projections that will be accurate, right? Because think about it. When you feed information into QuickBooks, for those of you who may be bookkeepers or maybe accounting majors, what have you, when you feed information in there for the past, I can't remember how many years, and it helps you make projections, that estimate is artificial intelligence. But what's happened is that term has become trendy and now everybody's scared. And again, I think rightfully so. But the reason that people are intimidated by it is because they're not any smarter than the technology that they're using. I'll give you an example. Let's get out of accounting for a little bit and go to the enrolled agent industry, tax industry specific. So don't be offended if you're not credentialed. So enrolled agents specialize in the area of tax, right? For a lot of us, that includes tax preparation. For some of us, that includes planning. And if you know me and you've been around for a while, you know that I believe if you're an EA, that should also include representation. Here's the thing. I have had EAs reach out to me because they don't understand what has happened on their client's tax return. Maybe they put the information in to get a certain credit and they don't see it, or maybe they've put in the student loan interest and it's not populating on the return. And typically that could be a software error, but what has happened is the taxpayer's income has gone up and it has eliminated their eligibility to claim that credit or that deduction. But the tax professional only knows how to put the information into the software and they don't know how the actual calculation works. For those of you who haven't taken the continuing education to know how the credits that mainly affect your clients work, you'll be replaced by AI because AI can do that. If you prepare tax returns and you only rely on what the software puts out and you don't know how to actually calculate it by hand, you're in a very dangerous position. And honestly, there's nothing to differentiate you from TurboTax. There's nothing to differentiate you from somebody just filling out their information via the Cash app. There's nothing to differentiate you from somebody just using ChatGPT to prepare their return. If you are in that situation where you don't understand how taxes actually work, then yes, friend, you will be replaced by artificial intelligence. Now, when I mention these things, and again, I'm a straight shooter, so this isn't to offend anybody. My challenge to you is to level up on your skill set. My challenge to you, if you enjoy tax preparation, that's fine, but understand with tax preparation, your competition is not AI. Your competition is not the CPA down the block that's only charging $75. Because again, people who charge those prices, remember, because you get what you pay for, people who charge those prices put themselves in a position to not be able to add any additional value. If you have adopted AI and you use it to enhance your skills, then you have the opportunity to have a value add there. But check this out. You have to be smarter than the AI. And you have to realize, again, it's not your competition. So, as I'm mentioning the different credits and the deductions that get phased out when the taxpayer's income reaches a certain level, you have to also realize that taxpayers who make a certain amount of money are going to require a different skill set. For you, you have to realize who is the ideal taxpayer that would not only see the service that I offer as valuable, but also be willing to pay for it. A lot of us go into this industry because we want to help people, we want to make a difference, but guess what? Everybody is not your client, and that's okay. One of the ways that you call out the client who is ready to work with you, who will respect you, who will respect your skill set, your time, your boundaries, is through your pricing. If you're using AI and how cheap you could get something done, or somebody else could get something done if they use AI, then you'll find yourself being replaced by AI later because that person just wants to get the job done. They don't want all the bells and whistles that come with working with an actual person. I'll give you an example. I was having lunch with a CPA a few months ago, I think right before tax season, actually. And we were talking about getting your oil changed, right? I can't remember what kind of vehicle he drives or if he even mentioned it. But I believe in paying service providers for what they specialize in. With getting my oil changed, could I change my own oil? Absolutely. It's one of the many things that my dad taught me how to do so I wouldn't have to rely on anybody else. However, I value my time, I value my fingernails, you guys aren't going to catch me changing my own oil. So I am willing to pay for that service. But I also happen to drive a Lincoln. No disrespect to anybody who takes their car to one or who may work at one. I'm not taking my Lincoln to a Jiffy Lube or a Valvoline. Okay? So, with that being said, I want a report of everything that's going on with my car. I want projections of different services that are going to be needed to help me maintain my Lincoln to extend its life because I care about that, but I don't necessarily care to know who changed the oil. But I have a relationship with the dealership, and there's one person that I deal with to get those reports and to get that guidance and to get the service done. Taxes are the same way. Somebody who doesn't have an expensive car, or maybe their car is paid off completely, they don't care as much about the service they receive for their car. Getting the oil change, rotating the tires, is just something they have to do. They don't care about the projections. They only care about where they can get it done the cheapest. A lot of you all who are worried about being replaced by AI are going after the tax preparation that's at the same level as someone taking their vehicle to Jiffy Lube or to a Valvoline, where you want to make sure as an enrolled agent, you are the one who the IRS deems to be a tax expert. You have the highest credential that the IRS awards to tax professionals. You should never want to be seen on the same level as the CPA or the fellow EA that's only charging $75. That's the same as you taking your, for Lincoln's, it's a black label dealer. That's the same as you taking your black label service and dropping it down to Valvoline, right? You're not going to be able to deliver all of the customized reports and take your time with the return if you're trying to price yourself to compete against AI or somebody else. Okay. Now, with that though, how do we make sure that we are seen as the black label dealer and not Valvoline, right? And again, I probably picked Valvoline because when we were dating, when we first started dating, my husband was working at Valvoline. So again, it's no sneak diss at Valvoline. I, prior to this car, would go to Valvoline, but I just hope for those of you who don't do DIY oil changes or who may take your car to the dealership, you're understanding the difference in the service and the hand holding white glove service that you're going to receive. As an enrolled agent, you should have an elevated service, not just busting returns through the door. Does that make sense? And I see a few of you all, let me see. We have 6 on YouTube. If that makes sense, drop in the comments, let me know. We have 4 people on LinkedIn, not just Miss Debian. For those of you that are on LinkedIn, drop in the comments, say what's up, let me know where you're from. I'm going to check out Facebook really quick. And I'm not going to be here forever, you all. So if it makes sense, let me know it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, let me know that it doesn't make sense, and let me know what I need to clarify before I start talking about how to ensure that you're given that black label service. But let me clarify, not just giving the black label service, you want to make sure that, because some of us, we're so worried about competing and how to stand out, we try to do it based on price, and we set ourselves up for the vicious cycle of burnout because we try to deliver the black label service at Valvoline prices, which that's dangerous for anybody. You want to make sure that, yes, you're offering those services, but the way that the taxpayer is perceiving the value of what you offer is black label service. You don't want to attract people that are like, yeah, I want to work with you as an enrolled agent because I heard it's cheaper than a CPA. You want to make sure that you stand out in the market again as an enrolled agent with the license that's the highest one that the IRS awards to tax professionals. One of the reasons that I'm able to price for investigations and working with people in audits and those things, and here's the crazy thing, my prices aren't even as high as others. You all are, not all of you all, some of you all are like, oh my goodness, well, how can you do that? You must not have always charged that. I got burned one, two, too many times, and I'm able to say my price and stand on my price because I have communicated and shown the marketplace the value of the services that I offer. If you're following me on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, it's because you've seen my content and how I educate not only you all on how to run an EA firm, but I also educate the taxpayer on what an enrolled agent is and the time I can save them, the sleep I can get them back, the protection I can give them in saving their home and various other assets. So by the time we actually get on the call, it's a no brainer for them, and they're wanting to know the next steps to work with me. And I'm able to use the different processes that I have to not only attract the right people, but then also filter out the ones that don't fit. And again, like I said before, everybody is not going to be your ideal client because some people don't want black label service. That's okay because I haven't checked the stats lately. So if this one is old, I apologize. As I say, 1 in 50 people have an IRS tax issue. Right now, with all the reduction in force that we had going on with the IRS, I'd be willing to put $20 on it. That is more than 1 in 50 now. And because of the long wait times, because of them putting people in different departments that they're not used to working in, it can be frustrating for us because it takes more time. But just imagine how frustrating it is right now for the taxpayer to try to resolve their own tax issue. I've been able to get people in and out like that in streamlined agreements, not because, oh my goodness, it's so difficult and they owe so much, because a streamlined agreement is 50,000 or less, right? But I've been able to get them, close them on the phone, get paid, get the engagement letter, get all of that done when they've only seen my content on the internet. But I've established myself up here as black label service within the marketplace. So when we get on the phone, I'm not going back and forth with prices. I'm not going back and forth with all the what if, what if, what if. I'm able to say, hey, this is what I can do. Do you want it or do you not want it? If they don't want it, wishing you all the best on your journey. Hope you don't get levied. It's no longer my problem. It's behind me. I can move on to the next person. I'm not going to be the AI that keeps coming after him, after him, after him, after him. After they say, no, we're not a good fit, we're all good, and I move on. So, Derek, good evening. My only person that said, well said, makes sense. I got, it went up and dropped. I think I got 8 people on YouTube. We got somebody on Facebook. If this makes sense to you all, let me know. If you all don't say anything, I'm just going to be talking to my guy, Derek, and I'll ask him if he has any questions. And we can use you, Derek, as an example and customize the next part to you since nobody else wants to chime in. In just a second, I lost my place on Facebook. I'm just making sure it's actually going still. StreamYard hasn't been the biggest fan of me over here for a while. Okay. Yes, I can see my own mic. So it's working. So, for us to ensure that we are not replaced by artificial intelligence, what you want to do is make sure that you are very, very clear on the service that you offer, the value that you add, and who you want to do that for. Check this out. The reason a lot of your outreach, so when you meet people at events, your outreach when you're on social media, the reason a lot of it's not landing and it's falling on deaf ears is because you're unclear in who you're talking to. I've been asked by tax professionals if I can check out their content, if I can do a one on one call. And if you were to book a one on one call with me that's a paid consultation, I will ask you, like, hey, what do you want to work on? I'll make sure that you have the information that I need before we get on the call. Because what kept happening is people were like, yeah, I want to get on the call, I want to talk to you, but they couldn't tell me who they wanted to help. They couldn't tell me where to find their ideal client. They couldn't tell me the pain points of their ideal client. When you show up online or at an event and you don't know what you're talking about, it is evident to the people who you are talking to. It's very evident. It's almost like when they say dogs and little kids can smell fear. They know that you don't know what you're talking about. So, what my challenge to you would be, let's say, for example, let's take tax prep out of it. Let's say you want to focus on representation. First things first, let me let you in on a little secret. My firm is focused on tax representation. It takes a while before you can get clients in a predictable pattern, but you have to work your behind off. Okay. Because yes, 1 in 50 taxpayers has an IRS tax issue, but one, everybody's not your ideal client. Two, it does take follow up. It does take time for them to build a know, like, and trust relationship with you. But there are ways that you can make that time go down. For example, when people book a call with me, my two main lead sources right now are the Tax Relief with Timbaland Bowens podcast and actually ChatGPT. Okay. Now, with that, the reason that they're ready to work with me is because I took the time to build out the podcast. The podcast, I think last Friday, episode 81 aired. Okay. Just like I'm talking to you right now, people go and listen to the podcast and they listen to episode 1 through 10, or they're in the car and they listen to episode 15 through 18. They know how I work. They know my process. They feel like they know me. And now, boom, when we get on the phone, we can be ready to go and do business. Right. But it's because over and over and over again in the podcast, I've established who I am. I know the value that I add. I come from a genuine place of actually wanting to help them, which I make clear because I always say it doesn't have to be me. Just make sure you get the help you need. And then from there, I make the invite. I let them know, hey, this is going to be an investment. This podcast is free. You can buy me coffee if you want. Don't have to. But if you work with me one on one, this is what it's going to look like. So, what I've done there is I've shown them exactly what I just told you. They know who I work with, they know the service that I offer, the time I'll save them, the sleep they'll get back, and what they have to do to work with me. You all are going to networking events and being like, hey, my name is Jack Sparrow and I'm an enrolled agent. Okay. Majority of taxpayers don't know what an enrolled agent is. And sometimes you all are frustrated because you're like, well, nobody knows what an enrolled agent is. Nobody knowing what an enrolled agent is what lit fire up under my behind, because I had the opportunity to shape how people saw me by explaining what an enrolled agent is. Then one of the biggest authorities in the country, the Department of Treasury and the IRS, something that people know, like, oh, I can trust something on their website. I cite their website to say, hey, I'm top dog when it comes to tax professional who can work with you and advocate for you to the IRS. Why would you not want to work with me? You have to have that same confidence and consistency when you meet people in person, when you're talking online, when you send an email out. You have to understand and be clear who you are. That way, the client can have faith in who you are and what you're going to do for them. Now, again, I'm not going to stay on too long. So, what I will do here, hi Anisha. What I'll do here is I'll say, if you haven't already, on the YouTube channel and also on Spotify, there is a podcast, My Enrolled Agent Career. You need to check out episode, I believe it's 8, with me and Keisha Dawson Harris, a fellow enrolled agent. And we talk about walking in your authority as an enrolled agent. Okay. Because I don't think you all have fully grabbed hold of that. The highest license the IRS awards a tax professional. Only you, a tax attorney, or a CPA can represent a taxpayer before the IRS. That's a big deal. So why aren't you using that in your marketing and walking in that authority to make a difference? Okay. So one, we got to be confident in who we are. We got to know who we serve. Okay. Then you got to know how you serve them. If I go tell people, yeah, I help people set up installment agreements. Okay. Like, I have a colleague and she always introduces me as Timlin's a person you want to know, but not need. She makes taxes really interesting. That's a conversation starter. I am a tax problem surgeon. That's a conversation starter. You want to introduce yourself as somebody who fixes the taxpayer's problem. Now, if you go look at Bowen's Tax Solutions, if you look at my content that's geared towards taxpayers, I tell people, my name is Timlin Bowens, and I help first generation entrepreneurs who owe the IRS 6 figures or more to, now I'm going to mess up mine, solve their tax issues so they can focus on and grow their business. Boom. That is not a niche as in an industry, but it's a niche as in a mindset. You can't specialize and have any authority and become an expert if you don't learn one specific niche or mindset. It doesn't have to be a niche, but it at least needs to be a pattern of how people think. Why? Because then that is going to make your marketing easier. If you don't know how to talk to your ideal client, you forget replace, you'll be eliminated by artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence can at least go through and tell you every pain point of a certain taxpayer and know how to speak to them, to soothe them and compel them to work with them, right? You've got to be able to do that. So again, we're looking at knowing who you are, who you help, how you serve them. Okay. The next thing, and this is going to seem counterintuitive to some of you guys, the next thing that you've got to do, this is number 4, is price yourself correctly. A lot of representation clients I've worked with, they've been scatterbrained and all over the place because they have major financial concerns. And in addition to that, they're concerned about the IRS coming and levying their accounts. If you are offering Black label services, but you can't afford to pay your rent or your mortgage or buy groceries, or you're riding dirty without car insurance or all of those things, you have the same financial stressors. You have to be the calm in the taxpayer situation. You have to be the guiding light. But if you are worried about how you're going to eat next week or how you're going to pay your car note, then you're not in a position to be able to calm them down and guide them. What will help with that? Yes, we should all have budgets and plan, but you have to prepare your pricing. Now, I've had people challenge me. Well, there's no way you charge that much when you were first starting out. Now, I will say that figuring out my prices for different types of installment agreements, working on offer and compromise, those things, I figured it out as I went, right? But, sweetheart, I never charged, with the exception of some tests, I never charged less than $1,500 for a transcript investigation. Never. Oh, well, nothing. You have to value your time or no one else will. If somebody can get the same thing in the transcript investigation from ChatGPT that they could get from you, that's a reflection of you, not AI being so great. That means that you need to up level your skill set. Okay. Stop worrying about what AI can do and worry about what you can do, what problem you can solve, and how you can make that better. Then you need to go ahead and reverse engineer what does that actually cost you in software and in time. I'm going to talk about this later, but one of the things that I did this spring, I hired an intern and they we're brand spanking new to tax industry, okay? So I properly budgeted for hourly wages. I properly budgeted for remote desktop, tax software, parking pass, computer, all that stuff, workers' comp, all the stuff. Where I made a mistake was not budgeting accordingly for my time. And for a lot of you all starting out, that's a mistake that I see that you make as well. You look at everything that you were paying for out of your bank account, but not how much time you're spending on something. How much is your time actually worth? Now, going back to an example I used earlier, we're not competing on price. Look, if you compete on price, then this channel is not for you. You're not going to have anything you're not going to listen to anything that I have to say if you're still stuck there. That's maybe I'll do a live about that later this summer. But when you're doing your pricing, whether it is for tax prep, tax rep, let's use tax prep since we're still in tax season. If you're worried about the CPA down there that's charging $75, first of all, that's none of my business. I wish them well and I hope their bills get paid. I have no intention of dying at my desk, but for you, if you're sitting there worried about that, I want you to take this into consideration. For your portal, for your cybersecurity insurance, for your tax software. What are other things for your remote desktop? When you factor out all those things, and let's say you're a firm that does 50 tax returns, how much is your cost per return if you do 50 returns? And you don't have to put this in the comments. I want you to actually think about that though. So even when I first started out, I did ProConnect before they were as big as they are now. I think I was paying like $14 a return. I had my insurance. I had at that time the portal link came with it because it was in beta. I had all those things, but my cost per return was relatively low. I think it might have been around like $35 a return back then, right? After I factored everything in with DocuSign and all that. Well, it could have been easy for me to be like, well, you know what? I'm working from home. I don't have rent to pay, yada, yada, yada. So I'll be okay if I charge $50 a return. If you're thinking like that, respectfully, you're wrong. Because check this out. If I charge $50, my cost is $35. If that return only takes me an hour to go through all the documents, have the conversation with the client, prepare the return, review it with them, get the signatures, all that stuff, I only made $15 an hour. But even with that, I didn't make $15 an hour because you all understand that the money that you make in your business doesn't go directly to you. So if I was going to do all of that for less than $15 an hour, I could have just went and got a job. So why would I do that? So again, for you, when you take all your fixed cost and all your variable cost, and then you factor in not how much you want to make an hour, how much you want to bill per hour for your time, that helps you figure out how much you should be charging for your return. You create a budget for each return, for each tax representation thing to say, okay, this type of 1040 is going to take me 2 hours by the time I onboard, offboard the client, do the return. It's going to take me 2 hours. I want to bill when I work $2.50 an hour so that I can afford to pay myself whatever an hour, right? When you have that budget set, then you're paying attention to your time. And if it takes longer than 2 hours and you only charge $500 because it was $2.50 the hour, remember? Then you're going to be able to look at that and say, okay, it took me more time. How much is my time really worth? Am I inefficient here, or do I just have my pricing off? If it takes me 2 hours and I'm billing out, and again, I think you should do value pricing. I'm saying for your internal budget and figuring your pricing. That's how I do mine. I've been transparent with you all. If I'm touching it, if I'm meeting, my goal is in that budget to bill it out at $500 an hour. So there are things that with the intern working on stuff, I'm touching this as minimal as I can, right? Because when creating the budget, I have a certain amount that I had for her. Okay, the budget says that this is going to take 5 hours. 4 of these hours need to be her, an hour of it needs to be me. Okay, you need to think like that, even if it's just you, so you can get to the point of, okay, this is what my profit margin is going to look like. This is where I can afford to pay myself. Because once you do that, you get to take yourself out of the picture. But if you never create a budget like that, if you never think about the value of your time, you'll get stuck again in that vicious cycle of trying to compete with AI and the guy across the street. And you'll be competing on price and not able to offer the black label service. And yes, You'll be replaced by AI. Okay. So, who we're serving, how we're serving, like what are we doing for them? Right? We got to make sure we understand that. We also need to make sure with that we're positioned as the black label service, which the IRS is giving you all the ammo. I've given you ammo tonight. If you're an EA on here, you have the highest credential that the IRS awards to a tax professional. You're the only person who's credentialed by the IRS out of the 3 people that they allow to represent taxpayers. Why would they not want to work with you? Right? But you have to walk in that authority. You have to carry that. I can't do it for you because if you're like, oh, yeah, I'm an EA, I do taxes, I can like help you get your books clean. Baby, you might be replaced by AI tomorrow. Like, who wants to work with somebody that's not even confident in what they do? Right? But again, even with all that, if your pricing is not right, you could still end up being eliminated easily by AI. Now, my hope for you is that if you watch this, whether it's the replay, if you're with me in real time, that I put some fire up under your behind, right? I hope that if you're on the email list, you go look at the email that I sent out today and that you look at those 10 tips that I sent out and you create that list and you're like, hey, after this 15 days is up, I'm going to take a little snooze and then I'm going after it hard. These are the people I'm going after. And I'm going to be the best enrolled agent that I can be. I won't be replaced by AI because I'm giving Black Label service that demands respect, and AI can't touch this. Right? So we've had a few more people hop on. Hey to everybody that hopped on a little bit later because I see the number about doubled. So we have 3 on Facebook. I got, is it 16? No, 13, 16 on YouTube. We had a drop over here on LinkedIn. Sia 990. If you go to americasfavoriteea.com, you can join the email list there. Natasha, hello. Very good to see you on tonight. I hope you're doing well, having an amazing tax season. Derek, thank you for talking back to me. 100% agree with being able to do more than AI. Does anybody have any questions? Because, like I said, I know it's tax season. You all are probably doing more taxes than I am because during tax season, I do less than 100. I think this year I'm doing around 75. But for me, again, I'm focusing on tax representation. The focus this year is going to be on people who have multiple years to file. So I am targeting not only my first generation entrepreneurs, but I'm also targeting my W-2 workers who work jobs like factory jobs. So if you're not familiar, here in Louisville, we have UPS, we have Reynolds, we have FedEx, we have Ford. And some of the homies like to go exempt, right? And then when they see that they owe, they just don't file. So with that being said, going exempt for 3 years when you're making almost 6 figures on a W-2 does lead to a nice little tax problem where no, for somebody like me, it's not going to be difficult, but it's going to mean the world to those people who don't know how to handle that situation themselves. Okay. Anisha, very good to see you as well. I hope that you are doing good. Miss seeing you each month. Let me see. Okay, cool. Derek said currently pursuing the EA credential. Wishing you all the best. If you haven't told me before, because your name does look a little familiar, what, Derek, what EA exam review material are you using? Oh, and you are going to be at the new site or one of the new sites because I forgot that the IRS switched who they have the contract with. So you all won't be taking it at Prometric anymore. And see, I'm sorry, you guys. I got on here to help you out today. I wasn't even had no intentions of selling anything, which I'm gonna tell you all don't do that. If you're gonna get online, make sure you're selling something. But I just dropped the website and the link. Paula, thank you so much. You are too kind. Paula says this was a great firelight, Timlin. I dig these fireside chats. Well, guess what? I'm going to be back. Okay. Um, you all let me recover a little bit because you all know I'm about to go on my annual sabbatical. I take off the Friday before my daughter's spring break. And with that being said, she's out this Good Friday. Louisville's good old Catholic city. So Good Friday through next week, I'll be out of here. I will be in the office a little bit to work on some RIP stuff, but no tax stuff. Praise the Lord. And with that being said, as I recuperate, I'm going to be fired up to come back, fired up to have these types of chats with you all. Because here's the thing, there are enough taxpayers who have tax issues for all of us to have work. Plenty of work. And while everybody's not your ideal client, my ideal client may not be the same as Paula's, and vice versa. So, with that being said, I want to see her win too. Why would I not share with her things that have helped me so that she can succeed too? Right? Yeah, no longer Prometric. I forgot the name of the new place. Awesome, you guys. Anisha, wishing you well and you too as well, Derek. So Derek's using Glime. Okay, cool beans. I like their material. I actually need to talk to Courtney because I'm about to do an event for high school students next month, and she was nice enough to give me some Glide material to share with them, just to share this as a career option that you can explore without going to college. Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Sia. Yeah, like I said, don't you all do like me and get on here and not be ready to sell anything? If you all have any questions, please drop them in the chat before I go because I'll probably be on here like 3 minutes and 15 seconds longer. If you found this video valuable, please give it a like, share it. You guys have been leaving comments. I appreciate it. The whole reason I do these is Paula referred to it, fireside chats, is because when I was new EA pursuing the EA credential, I could not find anything like this. And I felt lost trying to find my way, right? So I put content out like this to help you all because I want to create something that I didn't have. But I think Sia is about to join us over on the email list. I do send out emails. Some months you'll get more. I think this month I sent maybe 2, 3 with helpful tips. I'll let you know about classes that I'll be teaching, events that I'm putting on. So, for example, in October, I believe I don't have the calendar in front of me. That Saturday is the 22nd, whatever that weekend is. It's October 22nd through 24th. I will be hosting the second Enrolled Agent Firm Boot Camp here in Louisville, Kentucky. And it's going to be a wonderful time of networking and learning as well. This year, I'm not going to be the only speaker. I'm bringing in 2 other enrolled agents as well as a financial advisor. And during that time together, we're not learning how to study for the EA exam, but we are talking about how to set up a firm and how to do representation. Then on Saturday, I will be the only speaker. You get 3 hours of me to create your marketing plan for the next year. And for people who are either in my paid subscribers list or in the mentorship program, they can let you know. Not in a bad way, but if I give you homework for marketing, I will be on your neck to make sure that you're doing your homework for marketing. Because listen, if you're paying me to help you, you have to let me help you, right? But if you're interested in that, you can also find that americasfavoriteea.com under I think it's under live calls and classes. Or if you're interested in being in the monthly mentorship program, you can also check that out on the America's Favorite EA website. Hello, Miss Janice Clifton. How are you doing? I didn't realize you were on here. But I think that is it for me tonight. Like I said, you all let me recover a little bit. You all will be seeing me quite often in April. I will be doing some live streams and getting some videos posted on the YouTube channel as well. And then in May, my Enrolled Agent Career, the podcast, will be back as well. And I am looking forward to sharing more enrolled agent stories with you. But the first 10 episodes are going to be focused on how to start an enrolled agent firm, more of my story, and helping you create your plan and roadmap to starting your firm as well. So Marcel is using Fast Forward Academy. I used their first book back when I did it, but I mainly did Passkey. And Jana says I'm using Hawk. Yes, Hawk has the license to use Passkey. All right. Well, you all enjoy the rest of your Tuesday evening. Have a wonderful end to your tax season. If you were on the email list, you will be hearing from me very soon. By very soon, I mean tomorrow. So I can let you guys know what I'm going to be up to in April. And perhaps you'll join me, because tomorrow I am announcing another challenge for those of you who may be interested in winning a free ticket to the Enrolled Agent Firm Bootcamp. So if you're not on the email list, go ahead, make sure you go to americasfavoriteea.com, sign up for that, so you know the rules to join the contest to win that free ticket. All right. All right. Well, you all enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll talk with you soon. Bye.